This podcast is black-tastic.
What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of Bourbon and Borderlones here on the Blacktastic Podcast Network. We are back. 4/5 of the Bourbon and Borderlones crew. We are back for season 6, the first episode, and somebody here is going to have to remind me what the title of this episode is. But before that, how is everybody doing? Jabri, Shawnice, Janae, how are y'all doing?
Doing great, man. Good to be back.
Grateful to be here.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, we haven't done one of these episodes since, I guess, last season.
When was that? I feel like it wasn't that
It
long
was a
ago,
quick
but-
turnaround, though.
Yeah.
Because it was this year, though, right?
In 2021?
Yeah.
Was it?
Perhaps?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Oh. No, yes it was.
Does anybody know? Jabri, do you have any idea?
I'm looking it
I
up
don't
right
know.
now. I really don't know.
I think we were in like March, April. I think it was like March.
Oh wow.
Huh. You know what? It feels more recent. Now that you say that, it does feel more recent. But we're back like we never left.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah, we wrapped up in April.
Wow. That is a
What?
quick turnaround then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Back
Oh,
like
that's right,
cook
because
crack.
when we spoke to Sierra, she was saying that they were
That's
filming.
right. They were already
Mhm.
recording. They were already filming episodes and stuff for this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, my
Well, we are
my
back.
internal calendar's all screwed up though. Like I could not remember really was it this year or was it not? Because everything is
No,
like
truly.
ever since the quarantine, everything has been a blur for me.
For
I mean,
sure.
theirs was too. If we'll remember, I think Blue started school in June in DC.
Please.
Was something that all of us with kids in DC were trying to check. Like, can we send our kids to school already? Because, they just got out, but I'm trying to send them back.
It must have been
Turns out
summer
that
in
wasn't
Richmond.
the case.
Yeah.
That's what it
Well, we are all excited to be back talking about one of our favorite shows, Queen Sugar. We're glad that season 6 is back. Looking forward to seeing who shows up on this season. We saw the press releases about new characters, trying to figure out how they get woven into the fabric of the show, what shenanigans they participate in, considering our cast and crew of characters. The opportunities are endless. The possibilities are endless, excuse me. So but before we do that, how's everybody doing? Like how are we all feeling? Like I feel like we got to do a to mark the days that we are here, the coronavirus update in the real world that is also coinciding with St. Joe's real world, because we were looking real good by the time we wrapped up this podcast
Oh yeah.
for the last season. We was good. Folks was maskless indoors. People was ready. We was raring to go. We was down below 10,000 cases a day.
Man.
Well, Miss Delta and her line sisters weren't around when we wrapped last season, were they? I don't think so.
No,
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
that was
so.
a thing yet.
That came
I
in
think
like
they were
week
making
4.
noise, but they were just online.
Yeah, they weren't really part of
hadn't-
the. They were online. They probated. They out now. Yeah,
Yeah.
they definitely out now. So that's a whole thing. Yeah, things are definitely taking a turn for. I'm not going to say the worst, but we're headed back in the other direction at this point by my gauge. So. We'll see. It's interesting because, of course, we'll get into it with the vaccine drive that they're, doing on the show. But now there's talks about booster shots for those of us who are already vaccinated. Now that it's been, 8-9 months since, the first folks got their first jab. So that's a whole thing. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it is interesting too, because in St. Joe's, apparently there's a run on vaccines. Even the people who don't want vaccines anywhere else in the nation are trying to get them vaccines in St. Joe's.
They want them in St. Joe's. So I
I was proud of them. I was proud of them.
was proud. I was going to say, I was like, well, I'm happy to see
You
it.
know what? I didn't even make that connection, but you're right.
It wasn't
I mean,
no
the folks-
deniers. Like wasn't nobody denying.
No.
not even like the old people wasn't Prosper or Aunt Vi
The
wasn't.
Confederate flag, folks. Everybody
Right.
wanted their vaccine.
Folks is
I feel
scheming
like
for their
Nova would be
shots.
an anti-vaxxer. Don't y'all feel like Nova would be an anti-vaxxer?
She has that
Oh.
potential. Yeah, she has that potential.
She had that potential, but she's about the well. That doesn't negate the point. I was gonna say she's about the community, but I was gonna say the point still remains.
If
though.
she
I could
decided that the vaccine was the man,
yeah,
I could see her. I could see her turning that down.
that's true.
That's a good question. Like who on the show? Like I think did we have this convo? Like conventional wisdom would say that Ralph Angel would be skeptical about the vaccine, but Ralph Angel surprises me at every turn. Ralph Angel is like the
Ralph
most
Angel Renaissance, boy.
Yes, he is.
We
Yes.
had this whole discussion. Ralph Angel is definitely
The whole stuff.
more than meets the eye with Ralph Angel.
Yeah, Ralph Angel's listening to that King's Disease. He ain't listening to Drake. He ain't listening to Certified Lover Boy.
He's not. Oh God.
He like, give me that Nas.
I say,
You know what I'm
would he listen to the Kanye album?
Mm.
Which album would
Is
Ralph Angel prefer?
listening to Donda?
He gave it a listen.
He gave it.
Now I don't know what he's saying about it, but he gave it a listen.
Okay.
I don't know if Ralph Angel was listening to Donda. I don't know. Because
I don't think Ralph is listening. He ain't listening to Drake. I don't seem like a Drake guy.
He's
Right.
really not listening.
He didn't even give that one a listen. I don't
He's
think.
definitely not.
He gave Donda a listen.
Yeah.
Dare I say he liked it?
He also probably is a big fan of J. Cole. I feel like now, knowing what I know about Ralph Angel now, he's a J. Cole guy.
I think that Ralph Angel is waiting for Kendrick.
I was gonna say I think he's a Kendrick guy.
So he's all on that Baby Keem featuring
Yes.
Kendrick Family Ties.
Yes. He
Smoking
is.
on our top fives tonight. That's what. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. All of that.
All right.
All of that.
One time for the Ralph Angel sidebars. Like
Still
it.
want a playlist ready for
yeah.
it whenever it comes.
Go ahead, Ralph Angel. Let's see what's on your iPhone. So yeah, well, for those of you who listen, longtime listeners, you know how this goes. We lick shots for Big Pop in Heaven, and then we give you some recaps. We give you some the good, the bad, and in today's case, the Rona. Then we give you some advictions, which is our advice and predictions. Together, they are back together again. And then we take a shot of bourbon for whoever had the best episode. And by the end of the season, we figure out who had the best season overall. It's usually Charlie. Did Charlie win Charlie won the last 2 seasons, right?
That seems right.
Somebody should research this. Do we listen to our own show? We never know the answer to these questions.
Somebody compile the statistics.
I have been advised by my attorney not to answer any questions that may incriminate myself. But speaking of our format, we're gonna hop right into this recap of season 6, episode 1, and Jabri's gonna tell you what the title of it is. I do not remember.
It is called "If You Could Enter Their Dreaming."
Heavy.
Poetic.
Some real
That's
poetry.
deep.
Snap.
Season 6,
Okay.
episode 1. If You Could Enter Their Dreaming, written by Anthony Sparks, directed by Carmen Maron.
Roll the R's.
Maron. So, episode starts off. Mike is on an online school, not at his own school, but somewhere else. I don't know why it's online. It seems like it's pretty close to him. We find that out later. But anyway, he's using that vocal tone that, like, I hated when other students would talk like this. Like, just like they did all the reading and was just like entirely too confident. Now, it's just something that rubs me the wrong way. I like a little bit of insecurity when you got to speak in front of the class. It just makes me feel closer to you. I'm just saying that. And like, don't say diaspora in a conversation. Like, that's an essay
What
word.
if
It's for writing.
about
It's for writing.
diaspora?
That word is for writing. You say diaspora to me.
I use that.
So how do you refer to the diaspora?
What should you say instead?
It was a discussion about the diaspora.
It
It was diasporic.
That's not an outline. That's not an out loud word. It's not an out loud word.
Okay.
That's a write that down word. Put it on the chalkboard and point to it.
Man.
Jabri,
I would
you
like
need
to-
speak to someone about this.
Yeah, I have to call shenanigans on that one. So I'm married to a woman of the diaspora. So in our household, I use the word diaspora sometimes. Whenever we get into it and disagree about things, I'm like, that's the diaspora talking.
I
You know what I'm
mean,
saying?
Okay,
Like,
Panama.
yeah, but
What?
I mean,
It
but what you really
happens.
trying to say? I mean, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
What is the undertone?
Say what
of
you
that
mean.
tone?
Say what you mean.
I just say, smoking all your top fives tonight.
All right.
Anyway,
Alright.
I didn't like it. Rubbed me the wrong way. Got off on the wrong foot with me. That's all I'm saying. So
Gotcha.
Charlie called them to talk about what she's doing. They seem to be getting along. Micah puts Charlie on Maxine level, on Maxine Waters level. I told him to relax. But I'm glad that they're getting along pretty good. Ralph Angel and Prosper grabbing a selfie with his mask on all wrong. They talking about baby names. Ralph Angel talking about the lawsuits that he got pending. And I'm surprised to hear that Prosper has kids, because I never seen nobody taking care of him. Like,
Never.
never.
Well, I remember they talked about his kids in
Yeah,
other
it came up
other
before.
seasons. I don't know how many kids he has, but he has at least one.
Where do they live? Because
Clearly
He
not
had a
close.
daughter. He had a daughter somewhere else. I remember that was the
Mhm.
discussion. He has a daughter that lives somewhere. Because remember they were like, why don't you go stay with your daughter or something
Mhm.
like that? And he was
Oh.
like, I don't want to leave home, kind of thing, something along those lines.
okay, because
Yeah.
I had forgotten, because the Borderlones take care of Mr. Prosper.
They do.
That's fair.
Yeah. Darla tries to get Ralph Angel to go see Vi, but he declines, so I guess they're not good yet. Vi is giving away food. She's looking great. I can hear Corey talking about how she's burning through Hollywood settlement, though, talking about pay what you can. Like, you know, I don't know where that money coming from. Pay what you can. But anyway,
It's like that
Hollywood
settlement's gone.
Hollywood trying to get Vi to be humble and make things better with Ralph Angel, but she's not hearing it yet because she's feeling disrespected. Hollywood then risks his own life by saying that you love your pride more than blue. Vi lets him live, but she's got a secret. Nova is having a True Papers launch event. That looks cool. Charlie is in Los Angeles meeting with big wigs about her political career going to the next level. She's also looking fabulous, hanging out with Davis. She doesn't trust him yet,
Ew.
but Davis says, take your time, I'll be there. Is it time to tell the family? Maybe. Is it time to slob down? Definitely.
Ooh.
I need like a sound effect button right now.
We do need some
Like,
sound effects.
I need some
We
sound
do.
effects.
That's next on the agenda.
Ralph Angel's getting in payday loan debt. Just why? That's all I have for that. Why?
Why?
We can talk about that more, when we get to the good and the bad, and maybe even in evictions. But just why, Ralph Angel? Nova is meeting with a source to expose police violence. Nova puts her hand on the guy. He looks kind of nonplussed. I don't know what that's about. He's like, anyway.
Pause. Because why can you say non-plus, but you can't say the answer?
Now, plus definitely sounds like a word you just write down.
That's a write down word too. That's not an out loud word.
Fair
I want
enough.
you to think about that for yourself. Carry on.
Fair enough. He questions her judgment regarding Calvin, who is, quote, a dirty white cop that was in her home. She promises him safety and tells him this is God's work. And I just keep thinking, they pulled over by the side of the road, pretty much inviting the police to come mess with them. Hollywood's going through his mom's stuff, having a hard time with the bittersweet memories. And, that red hat, that was a sweet moment. Vi and Hollywood are then too tired for their date night. Nova thought she got broken into, but she left her house wide open. She asked herself if she was rushing. Maybe that's what was going on. I thought for sure somebody was up in there waiting for her. Micah let Vi down. He missed breakfast, but for a pretty good reason. To bang his professor. And apparently,
Don't do it, Micah.
apparently he loves her long time, as she remarks on his stamina.
She does remark on the stamina, actually.
Gross.
I'm here for the
Never
scandal.
Think about it.
I'm here for the scandal.
I hate it.
And if we remember, the
We'll
apple
circle
doesn't fall
back.
far from the tree,
That
because
was
Nova was
exactly.
also banging her professor.
Laying it low and spreading it wide.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, who was?
Nova.
Remember?
Oh, yes,
She was smashing the
Birds of a
professor
feather.
that Cree Summer was playing.
Octavia
Yeah.
Laurent.
Yes,
Look
that
at you.
lady.
That's a deep pull. Nice job. Darla is questioning Ralph Angel about his financial habits. He says money is coming in, and I just can't help but think my man is counting mad chickens pre-hatch. Like, he got the harvest, he got his lawsuits, and he's like, nah, that's as good as money. I think that's not going to work out for my man. Prosper reflects to Nova how he felt left behind during the pandemic. Nova says, we got you. Vi is lying to Hollywood about whoever she's taking the food to. Collections is calling Ralph Angel. Ralph Angel says, I told y'all stop calling me. Like, that's how it works. Like, I told y'all stop calling me. Did he really think the conversation was going to end there? He's like, you right. You know what, Ralph Angel? You right. You did tell me stop calling you. You right. You good. You good. But apparently he's facing foreclosure. Nova and Prosper see that the Vax drive has a higher turnout than expected, so they get their wheels turning on what to do next. Whatever Vi is doing, sneaking around giving this food, she being hella dramatic. Like, she is literally tiptoeing.
She like tiptoeing.
Like, she's actually tiptoeing. I don't know what
She
she's
is.
doing, but she feels really guilty about whatever it is that she's doing. She don't want anybody to know. The fellas are hanging out at the vaccine drive. Hollywood, Prosper, Micah, Ralph Angel. Micah got his camera out. Apparently, the real spot is reopening, and Hollywood's going to throw up some of Micah's pics. Prosper got a vax. I saw it happen. Had to shout that out. Ralph Angel straight walking by white people to hand out the farmers discrimination lawsuit information.
You know? Stand.
Yeah.
He did.
They noticed. The white
They
people
did.
noticed, by the way.
They did.
They were definitely looking.
That's what, and it comes back to bite them because it seems like the white people think that they're passing them up for the vaccine when really he's just passing them up. Yeah. Anyway, so Nova's trying to solve that vax overturn out problem, trying to get rid of the people who came over from St. Thomas, which is mostly white people apparently. They don't want to look like they're just tossing white people out of line. They're going to check out. Sorry, man. They're
I'll
going
make it clap.
Dude, a bug in my house that tried to get me. All y'all heard that. They start checking IDs, right? All right, so Aunt Vi. No, I'm pushing through. Vi, she has problem with all three borderline kids. Okay, which is she hates 3 times as many borderline kids as I hate. She hates Ralph Angel, Charlie, and Nova's defund the police article, which she says is silly as hell. Nova puts her foot down on non-residents getting vaxxed, causing tensions to rise. People are arguing about.
We can't even cut this out.
No,
so everybody knows.
No,
Breeze out here killing flies in the middle of the.
We're not cutting this out.
We're not cutting it out. I just want everybody to know.
I wish there was accompanying video.
That's
the only thing
that
I wish.
Everybody is going through right now because in the
what
middle
the
of
hell?
like in the middle of a sentence, mid-sentence, Jabri he got attacked by Jeff Goldblum.
He tried to get me,
and he just wasn't going for it.
There are tears.
So people arguing the line about I ain't never seen you before. Rednecks running in and stealing the vax. I'm like,
it did crumple really quick.
What? Nobody sitting by the box? Like nobody was sitting by the box. Nobody was even sitting by the box.
I guess for people to try to steal them, but I guess that's the thing people do. Steal.
Then Karen jumps up, say she deserves a vax, and then they validate her by arguing with her for some reason. I don't even know why they even talked to her. But I would have told her, I checked her ID. You ain't see that shit. You missed it. That's what I would have said to her. Like, I don't have to check her ID because no. You don't admit that much.
Right.
You say,
I'm not explaining myself to you.
Right. I'm not explaining myself to you. Why did they even do that? But and of course the cops don't help. Several times I heard like the Karen anthem of I won't have it. Several times I won't have it. And the variation is I'm not going to stand for it. That's the other one.
Well,
I heard
they were
that
all
several
told by
times.
Apple Care.
They
were all
were.
told by Apple Care.
Yes, they were.
And then the cops come put their hands on Prosper. Prosper goes down. Ended on a real serious, solemn note. And all I could think, the last thought I had was I heard Ice-T in my head. Sucker punk cop. That's just what I heard. Ice-T. And that's the episode entitled If You Could Enter Their Dreaming.
Two snaps.
Yeah, we got a whole lot to unpack, a whole lot to talk about. We will get to all of that on
The Good, the Bad, and the Rona.
On Bourbon and Borderlands.
All right.
And welcome back to Bourbon and Borderlands on the Blacktastic Podcast Network. It is time for The Good, the Bad, and the Rona. So for the good, I kind of feel like everything was good. For the most part, everything was good. We kind of caught back up on all of our characters, see that everybody's doing well. Mike is in school. Blue's still at school. He's loving it. Ralph Angel is suing the USDA. That's new news, but we can talk about that later. Prosper is still wearing his mask. Great.
I love to see it.
Love to see it. Darla is glowing. Vi is offering pay what you can at VPPD. Did I get it right?
Yes.
You did get it right.
Yes. Hollywood is looking good. True Papers. Now this part, True Papers is thriving because last season I felt like things might have been a little shaky with the revelation about Nova sleeping with the dirty cop. Did I make that up, or was True Papers kind of in jeopardy?
I don't know that True Papers was in jeopardy, but it was definitely just getting off the ground. Like they had like that soft launch at Nova's house.
Right.
And then I know that she had, she was working on the article that it seems like now she's ready to like submit about, the police, the culture of police brutality within New Orleans PD. So I don't know that it was ever shaky. But it definitely seems like regardless of where it was, it seems to be doing well now.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Or
also,
maybe it's just
quickly, I don't think Ralph Angel is suing the USDA. I think what's happening is they're suing banks for discriminating on crop loans.
Got it.
I think that because later at the vaccine drive, he mentions to his homie that the rep from the feds is going to come and explain to them about everything.
Okay.
And I can't imagine that the people that you're suing are going to come explain to you everything about how to sue you.
You're right.
So,
You're
true.
But there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stories, and we'll get to this a little bit later about banks discriminating in the dispersal of crop loans to Black and brown farmers in Louisiana, especially, but all those areas, all the agricultural areas.
Okay. All right. Important
in the diaspora.
Point. All right, so True Papers is thriving. That's great. Charlie and Davis are creeping. I have that in good because it's good for someone. Charlie, Davis.
I guess it's good for them. Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
And then I have the real spot is gonna open. So yay guys. So that's what I have for the good. Did I leave anything out? Great. Let's head over to the bad.
Bong bong.
So the one of the very first things I noticed that really ticked me off, Vi, baby, what's going on? It seems like everything is irritating. Every person is irritating to her. And initially in the episode, I thought it was just still a kind of a rift between she and Ralph Angel, like whatever they had going on about Blue last season. But come, further in the episode, she has beef with everyone. She literally runs down every single person that she has beef with, and why. And girl, I just really would like for you to like get a grip.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on Vi. She seemed just real like grumpy.
Yes.
She's just grumpy as hell. And I don't know what's driving it, but she just
that's not just her though. Her happy. At this point, it's kind of just her. She always got that going. Like every other episode, it seemed like she got some type of
but something had to change. She wasn't always like that, right? Like
I don't feel
that's
like
not a way I would have described her seasons ago, right? I don't think.
You know what? No, I think it's just now who it's directed to, because it used to be all directed towards Darla and nobody cared. Now, now it is directed towards every single other person in her family besides her husband sometimes. And maybe it's more noticeable now, but she definitely was always thanked to Darla.
She was always thanked to Darla. I wonder if it's her caretaker thing. Like she's used to having to take care of everybody, and then to that extent, everybody basically listening to what she had to say, like doing things her way. And now everybody is pretty much on their feet, on their own, making moves,
and bucking back.
Yeah, not necessarily just taking whatever Aunt Vi says, as taking it to the bank. It's like, no, we're grown. Thanks so much. But I'm going to do this the way I want to do it. And I think maybe Aunt Vi might be struggling with that. That's the only thing I can think of because, yeah, she's definitely very moody. Just general. I don't know. Has she gone through the change already?
Ooh.
Maybe. I say maybe it's hormonal.
I would feel like yes, but also how old is she supposed to be?
She's gotta be
60.
Gotta be at
be
least
60s,
in her
right?
late 50s. At least. but I'd give her maybe 60 because Hollywood. We gave Hollywood like upper 40s, right? We did
Yeah.
some math on this one of them episodes
Because
before.
I mean, Charlie is what 40 at this point.
Something
We
like
found
that,
out she
right?
had Michael when she was like super duper young, like 20 or something like that.
Yeah, so Charlie's
Micah's
probably
19
late.
or something like that.
Yeah, 1920 at least.
So yeah, she probably. I
At
mean,
any
she got.
rate.
You're right. She probably get in her late 50s at the earliest, early 60s.
Or guys, because who is she sneaking food to? Maybe this secret that she's holding on to just is so like, I don't know, mentally taxing that she just cannot be anything but jumpy and nasty to everyone.
Since,
Is this the time we
since
introduce
Corey
Jimmy Dale
not
back
here,
into the discussion?
right. Since
Yes.
Corey not here, I gotta
Somebody
say,
say it for
Jimmy
Corey.
Dale, my man, Jimmy Dale.
Also, you know what? We didn't even do this in the intro.
Yeah.
Corey is not here for a very good reason. Corey, our pal Corey, has just tied the knot with his love.
Would you
So-
believe it?
Would you believe? It's like, let's
Yeah,
not.
we need to let everybody have some of this joy. Corey is a married
A
man
married
now,
man.
recently
man.
married.
Shout out to our boy.
Bless her
Yes. So, the next time you hear Corey's voice, it will be that of married Corey. And we'll see if that changes anything.
It's her husband.
It's a whole husband child.
But yes, you're right. This is where Corey would have introduced Jimmy Dale back into our lives.
Yeah. I don't know. I Jimmy Dale crossed my mind too because I couldn't understand why it would be such a secret that she had to keep it from Hollywood too. Like I don't understand why she can't tell nobody. I also thought maybe it was that girl that Jimmy Dale was. I don't want to say dating, but you remember he had a girl that was living with him, and Aunt Vi helped her get out.
That's right.
And sent her to the shelter or whatever. So I don't know. Maybe she.
Why would she keep that from Hollywood though?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of people who Aunt Vi would have some sort of interest in or whatever. I don't know.
That's a good question. That's a very good question.
But sis is on the creep though.
Creeping, literally tiptoeing,
Literally
tiptoeing on the marble floors for sure.
Okay, so we'll figure out what's going on with Aunt Vi. Ralph Angel, baby boy. I thought we knew better than to do the payday loans.
Multiple. He had any options. I mean, my man got multiple payday loans. That's something you only do when you have nowhere else to go.
But he does though. That's that pride. Like if
So
it was
just
that,
call Charlie.
yes. Before I go into payday loan debt, yes, I'm calling Charlie. But that's that pride in him wanting to do things himself and make it seem like everything's taken care of and so on and so forth. But no.
You know what? You make a good point. Why wouldn't you call your millionaire sister and ask her for some help?
He got a lot of options, like Charlie, Darla's mom. Even Nova could have caught that crib that Darla wanted. Like, I'm just saying,
he would never do it though.
He'd give up the farm. He'd give up the farm. He'd give up because that's the option, right? You give up the farm or you accept some help.
Yeah.
Because yes, and think about this. We have to be very clear about this. When you go to collections, they're not all. The point that he's at, I don't know if they're coming to collect for the entirety of the loan because that wouldn't make any sense, right? Like, I can't pay the $100 I owe you. I definitely can't pay you the $50,000 I owe you. Mm-hmm. So he's not even current on anything. All these loans here, he's not current on any of this stuff.
So he just hasn't paid anything.
He hasn't paid anything. You got to call somebody, baby boy. You got to holler at somebody to break you off instead of keeping going back to this place to get paid. You going to the same place over and over again?
Oh, let me kind of a sidebar. I haven't had a ton of calls with collections people, but the collections man was real sassy to me.
He was.
I was like, I know
he kept the same energy. Ralph Angel started off. So Ralph Angel started off.
For
like I told you.
I just didn't know if it's typical of the collections man to keep the same energy. Like I thought that maybe they were supposed to maintain a certain level of professionalism, but he was meeting Ralph Angel right where he was at, and I was like, "Oh, this is deep. This is really deep."
I noticed that too. He was like, "Whatever."
Yeah, he did say whatever. Yeah, he did say whatever.
You got 30 days.
Right, okay, right, partner, with the head rolling. I saw the head moving and everything. Like Like, what is this energy?
Hey,
Y'all saw the
Hey,
head movement. He wasn't even on camera. Y'all saw what he had the head movement.
Hey,
That's the way I felt. I felt attacked listening to the collections,
No, wait.
man.
When she said she saw the head movement, I was like, wait, was I looking away? Or that?
No, that was what I felt in my spirit. Like I felt like oh, you want to fight? Like I was like, do you want to?
it
Are you
was
trying
though.
to
It was
square
very
up? Like
antagonistic.
what's yeah.
I mean,
No,
Ralph
it's good.
Angel was like, "I told you not to call me," and dude was like, "Yo, pay up, Ra."
That's what I'm
Rock.
saying. Like it got real. Yeah, things went left.
It was
I mean,
very
I was
drug
definitely-
dealery.
It
It
did.
was.
It was. It
I was
was.
definitely clutching my pearls, especially when they said foreclosing on the land. I just immediately went to like my Soldier Boy voice, like foreclosing on the land.
You can't do
Like-
that.
You cannot. You can't. My test. You can't do that. I just feel like Ralph Angel is really banking a lot on this harvest
Yeah.
and potential settlement money. And baby, like none of that is promised to you right now. And so,
Yeah.
what
So
is
we
it?
so we have a
irony
pride
going
problem.
on.
We have
Yeah.
an extreme pride problem happening, and one that apparently Darla can't even talk him out of, because
No.
when you put it that way, I mean, the land that Ralph Angel has is still family land, which means the family would lose all this at the same time, even if it's his.
Mhm.
And you have a very rich family member who has a stake in this land as well,
Right.
that it would
Mhm.
matter to. You need some help being on your feet. I imagine somebody's had that conversation with him, like, you need something? Can we help you out? Like, what can we do? We realize, Charlie knows what's
Mhm.
happening with all the farmers and everybody, so she understands that what position Ra would be in.
Right.
Right.
He
It's not
just
like he just been
nah.
out here squandering, money and can't pay his bills. Like,
Yeah.
your livelihood is this farm, which I haven't been able to do anything. And like at this point, I don't even think it's just pride because, like you were saying, this is not like your fault, and also it's not just your land. So now you're being dumb.
Yeah. I got a theory though. I don't think he's gonna lose the
Okay.
farm. I don't think he's gonna lose the farm.
You want to save that for an eviction?
No, I don't need to, because
Oh, okay.
the show's called Queen Sugar, and the
Okay.
only one with any sugar left is Ralph Angel. Like, unless they're gonna give somebody diabetes. If they give somebody diabetes, maybe somebody else will
All
have
right.
some sugar. But
All right.
Ralph Angel's the only one with
Different
sugar.
angles. I see it coming.
So
Okay.
I'm pretty confident that Ralph Angel gonna keep that farm.
Okay.
Well,
I-
you're a little more
I think
confident
that's
than
fair.
me.
What Ralph Angel is doing right now is taking a page out of the 1619 project, Nicole Hannah Jones Pulitzer Prize winning project that she did for the New York Times. There was an entire episode. There's an article written. There's a podcast episode about a family called the Provost family in Louisiana that had their land taken away because of crop loans and discrimination and crop loan issues. So it feels very similar to that. Like Ralph Angel can't get money to. Did we have a discussion on last season about how crop loans work, like how how that system works? How basically farmers go to the banks, they get an advance on money to do all their seeding and do all their harvesting. Then they go pay the loan back, but that's how they make money, right? Then they take all their crops to the mills and they get paid. Like they pay them back. It's basically a huge advance that they get.
Right.
But there's a lot of discrimination on the ways that Black and brown farmers, especially, when they apply for loans, how much more difficult it is for them to get the loans. And it seems like that's what's happening here. Like this is kind of taking a page out of that. Like Ralph Angel is suing for there's a discrimination lawsuit out there that they're hoping they're going to get a big settlement out of. And I'm guessing that's what it is. Like Ralph Angel has gathered a bunch of farmers together who have had issues getting loans from banks. They've noticed that they're all Black people. They filed a lawsuit to try to expose this discrimination, and they're hoping that with the help of they've taken it to the Justice Department with the USDA to try to make this right. So that's what it seems like, and that seems pulled right out of the pages of the 1619 project. So I like if that is the case, I like that tie-in to pop culture, like what's really happening in the world and stuff like that, especially because it's specifically what's happening in the 1619 project is a family out of Louisiana, and it's the same kind of setup. So if that is the case, it's very dope.
Yeah, I say it just doesn't seem like timing in terms of payout is on Ralph Angel's side in terms of keeping the land that he's, fighting so hard to, advocate on behalf of. So
Right. Because when they got off the phone, like the guy didn't he specifically told him he wasn't giving him the time that he was asking for.
Nah.
So he's not gonna be able to pay
You
him
got
with the
30
harvest
days,
money.
bruh.
Right.
Yeah.
So he gonna do something else. Yeah.
So the interesting thing is we don't even know who that creditor is. Like he's on 4 payday loans from the same place, but is that from the bank? But in order to take a lien, in order to repossess the land, that must be the bank. I'm guessing.
I think it's the bank because the payday loans, he was doing stuff like buying cribs for Darla and stuff like that. Like I don't even think that you ain't even paying the bills for the farm, Ralph Angel. What is going on?
I feel like that payday loan dude, the dude that he went to, that dude called you himself. Like that
Yes.
guy, that's the dude that calls you when you don't pay. Like,
Absolutely.
It's like a bail bondsman, right? You do direct
Okay.
one-on-one,
Right.
one-on-one work. Huh. Well, Ralph Angel, he still looked fly though. My man, instead of a mask, he had a bandana around the face. You know what I'm saying? Even though the CDC does not recommend that.
I was rocking that at first. I was doing that at first before I knew better.
Agricultural pandemic chic.
People still do that. Yes, I see lots of people still rocking bandanas. Literally the entire
Do
list
that
of
with
things
the
that
mask
the CDC
underneath.
does
I was
not.
gonna say the way you pull that off is to put your mask on and then you
And
want
then
to
tie the
stylish,
bandana.
put the bandana over top.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming it's a really nice crib.
I would like.
I would hope it's state of the art.
Did we see the crib? Because I would like.
It
to
was
see
still
it.
in the box. Yeah, I would like to see it as well.
I would like to see the crib. Okay, so let's move along to our good friend Micah. Micah is creeping around with the teacher. I was a little confused. I was like, is this the teacher? Is this another like fellow classmate? I wasn't sure, but she did say she was much older than him. She did make that clear. Okay.
She said
so
he makes her feel 10 years younger.
Right. Well, I assumed that meant she was.
Yes. So I'm saying I think that was intended to point out the fact that she's much older.
Right. At least 15 years. If she's admitting 10, then that means it's at least 15.
Right.
And I would have just never thought that Micah would be putting it down like that. Because I mean, personally.
Corey.
I'm not going
there.
I can't believe he's missing this because I really would love to hear his feedback.
I mean, I think I would agree with Corey when I say that Micah lacks a little swag, just a little bit. So I was surprised that he was able to number one pull bag, and
it's because he said diaspora.
So yes, here's a question. I have a question for you all. I got a question for you all.
Yeah.
So was this smanging a result of his mic drop speech at the end of that class, or was this something that was already taking place? Like when that phone rang and he kind of smiled like he knew it was her, but like are they like playing coy for the class?
Yeah,
I think they're playing coy for the class.
Because they introduced themselves in the class, right?
Right.
She's like, what's your name again? Like they
was playing.
Those are shenanigans.
It on thick. Yeah.
Shenanigans.
It was shenanigans. It was. I was like, ooh, y'all some liars.
But then where did they meet though? Because if that's happening, you would only do that in the first class, right? Like you're just like, oh, you're just some random student who's always here. Like,
I mean, maybe we'll get some backstory. Maybe they met over the summer. Maybe they met during the protests. I don't know. Maybe that's the reason why he did this, transfer program. I don't know. Maybe we'll get some backstory as to how that even came to be. Because I had the same question. I was like, so did y'all meet up after that? Because I mean, clearly it's like a distance program too. So like, otherwise you probably wouldn't have met in person regardless.
I mean, but they smashing in real time.
Right, right.
They're not using machines. So clearly Frankfurt, whatever university that is right down the street.
Yeah. I'm just saying like if it was just they had met, after he was in her class, I'm just saying like there wouldn't have been any need for them to meet in person if it was just like a school thing. I'm thinking they met at some point outside of the program.
And that's when, using the real school, he goes to Xavier, but Xavier don't want him smashing the professor at Xavier. So then that's when you gotta make up the fake school and have him smash the professor over there.
Look at you. You were smart.
Okay.
You is smart.
Right. Yeah. No, you can't be tarnishing Xavier's name like that.
Right.
Yeah. We need backstory on Micah here and the professor. I'm curious how they got here. It wasn't just that his speech was so good about
It wasn't that
Was
good.
it was
It wasn't
Marcus
that.
Garvey
Marcus
and Bob Marley
Garvey
and
the
'cause Bob Marley
diaspora.
came up, right? There was a discussion about Bob Marley too, right? Did I make
Yeah,
that up?
and then well, no, they said something about Malcolm X. They said he was Malcolm X before Malcolm X or something like
Yeah,
that.
she did bring. She asked,
Yeah.
was Marcus Garvey Malcolm X before Malcolm X? Yeah, it was a bunch of words like space and like that. The people that
Spaces.
have this discussion about giving space and
Black bodies.
use all the words that I think Jabri's actually right, because a lot of those words are not say out loud words. But diaspora is not one of them. I feel like diaspora is perfectly fine.
I didn't like it.
Especially when non-plus is in your lexicon.
Yeah. Like I seen shirts that say diaspora. So
Don't say lexicon either.
That's one of my faves.
I mean, it applied like that. That was a specific like.
Nah, you're right. I'm just messing. Yeah,
diaspora is very lexiconic.
Okay.
Getting deep.
All right.
In the streets.
So yeah, we'll ponder on that, Micah piece. But let's move along to Nova. So Nova got a black cop, and you mentioned this piece too, Jabri. She touched him on the shoulder. What was that?
Yeah, it made him pause. He took deep notice of it. He was like, "What is going on?"
Y'all need to see what's going on here, because
Jabri's on one today. He must be happy to be back.
Oh my god! Y'all had to see Jabri's reenactment of the way the officer looked at.
It was the shoulder for me.
It was the eyebrows for me.
Yeah.
The furrowed brow. But anyway, so Nova got the black cop. What's his name? David or Daniel? David? Officer Daniel?
I missed
Officer
it.
David? Something like that.
Officer Walker.
Oh.
I think that was the last name.
All right.
Are we all just making up names?
I really do think it was Walker, but I could have also made
I
that
feel
up.
inclined to believe your name.
Johnson.
It was
Okay.
not Johnson.
That wasn't it for sure, but
We are in first episode form, definitely. Like,
yes.
So Nova got the
A
black
lot
cop.
happened in this episode, though, to
Yeah.
be fair. There's a lot happening, so it's a lot to take in.
Nova got the black cop to speak out anonymously about the police brutality in the department. But the touch on the shoulder led me to believe, like, so Calvin, that's dead. That's done.
I mean, he took himself to jail, didn't he?
Did he?
I couldn't tell. Well, I mean, maybe we'll get some more information.
He got
on that.
escorted out by the ops.
yeah,
Well, I
was
guess
like-
it's not the ops if you Calvin.
if Calvin
I
telling him
couldn't
the
tell.
truth, he can't not go to jail. Like, he has to go to jail.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, does he?
Does he?
Well, how much time do we think has elapsed since the end of the last season?
I'm thinking it has to be at least. But I'm thinking it has to be at least February, because they're doing a vaccine drive and people wasn't getting vaccinated until at least the top of this year. So I'm thinking, and Darla, you said she wasn't showing, or she was?
She was like
She's showing
barely
a little bit,
showing, like a tiny bit. It's given like 4 months.
I was thinking that, but then I was trying to also think about the vaccinations, and that's what made me think, well, it has to be later. And then also, if you're doing introductions for a new semester of school, it either has to be the fall or it either has to be the spring. So I was thinking maybe like January.
Yeah, because it seemed open to a lot of people. They weren't being very selective. Like, in the beginning, like in the fall, if anybody got theirs like before New Year's, it was elderly and people who needed it the most. Like, it wasn't just people pulling up in the drive-through telling them, "You get one of those." We weren't at that point yet.
And I don't even know if that was in 2020, to be honest. Like, I feel like it like very late 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so if you remember, like the last season, the first 8 episodes had dates on them.
Right.
Episode 9 was in summertime to simply be, and then the last episode was onwards. So I'm guessing the end of last season was probably late summer, maybe early fall. And I think you guys are right. Like, we're somewhere we're in 2021 somewhere.
Yeah, Pfizer was approved late in December.
Yep.
And so
That's what I just got. Yep.
And so it has to be at least the top of 2021.
Yeah.
Yep.
Long enough for Ralph Angel to file a lawsuit against a class action lawsuit with the USDA, which I can't imagine is a quick thing to do. I don't know. So yeah,
and
okay.
Darla seemed to be showing quite a bit to me. So I was thinking she was at least like 6 months.
Oh,
That sounds about right. Okay.
Well,
because if it was the summer,
the reason I bring this up is because I'm guessing Calvin got to be in jail by this point. Like, however long we passed, if Calvin was telling the truth, as Jabri said, Calvin got to be in jail. And if Calvin's in jail, I can't imagine Nova is dating the white cop who is now a jailbird.
Yeah, she's not waiting on him.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I feel like we're owed what happened there.
I think they'll tell us.
Yeah,
they have to tell us.
Let it build.
Like that can't just disappear. Like, what was the fallout? I need to know.
And I mean, he's clearly not living with her no more because she, had an empty house.
He's living in jail. He's living in jail.
Right. I mean, chances are Calvin's in jail right now.
I don't know if I'm convinced that he's in jail, but he's definitely not with Nova. I don't
think he has to be in jail.
Me neither.
He doesn't have to be in jail.
He could be awaiting trial at home.
Or I don't know that he could be chilling. He could have just admitted to what he.
But Calvin would basically,
if he doesn't fight it,
internal affairs.
If he fought it, then yes, then he could be at home. Like if he stuck to his story, he feared for his life, blah blah blah. He could be at home. He'd still be on paid leave or whatever. Right. So, but if he was doing this thing where he was last year saying, "I need to admit this. I need to tell the truth. I need to," he called the cops on himself. So if he told the truth from that point, I can't see him being a free man.
Well, he wouldn't be on paid leave either because he wasn't a cop by that point. He had already quit. He wasn't a police officer at this point. So he basically went back to the police and turned himself in for committing crimes against the community at that point.
And who knows, maybe for cooperating or, revealing names or whoever, maybe he didn't go to jail. Maybe
we'll have to put this on the list of questions we need answers to. Like, where is Calvin?
What's happening? Because I guess that's the disconnect for me with True Papers and Nova, and then the whole Calvin thing. Is like, I recall from the last season that coming out, I feel like maybe some people knew that Nova was dating him, and also some people know that Nova is behind the True Papers. So it's like, was there no type of fallout from Nova dating this white cop and being behind True Papers? Like, the True Papers not lose any credibility? Like, what happened?
Well, we don't know what happened in between because I don't know that everybody knew about Calvin at that point.
I don't think everybody does either. Yeah. But I know some people do. Enough people know to be able to have brought True Papers down if they wanted to. That's how I'm like, oh, True Papers is still good? That's why I was so surprised. I'm like, oh, True Papers is good. Nobody.
I mean, that's an interesting point. I mean, whether they knew when last season was going on, I'm sure if Calvin reported himself, so on and so forth, and Nova's not with him, like, I'm sure the story in some capacity has come out now. And so were there any implications from that?
I feel like that's important tea.
Hot tea. Because True Papers just came back out like everything was all good, and I feel like there had to be a little shaking up of the shaking the table. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she definitely flies dangerously close to the sun. I mean, considering her own backstory, she goes at the cops a lot. It seems like there's a lot to expose on her end if anybody wanted to, but she seems to be very good at getting around that somehow. I don't know.
Every time.
I don't know.
Every time. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. So let's move over to the Rona. Okay, so the Rona, the episode leads into this big vaccination drive that everybody is at. Nova's there.
The whole fam.
The whole family is there. Everybody's there except for Charlie because she's creeping. Mm-hmm. Now
she's meeting with bigwigs. She's not just creeping. She's in LA meeting with bigwigs.
Oh, yes.
Right. Because her and Davis are both rich, they can go make vacations out of anything they want to do anytime they want to do it.
Exactly. Chilling in cabanas, slobbing each other down. But that's neither here nor there because we are back in St. Joe at the vaccine drive, which is going very well. Huge turnout, a better turnout than they expected. They don't know what they're going to do because they don't have enough vaccines for all the people that are there. But this is something that we actually started seeing. And you know what was funny? And I'll say this. Early on when the vaccine first came out, I felt a little iffy. But when I started seeing that white people were traveling to the black neighborhoods to get those vaccines, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
They can't be trying to kill black people.
You're not about to leave me out.
Because the white people are coming to the black neighborhoods to get the vaccines. The white people on MLK getting their vaccines. So
and we not.
and we're not. So wait a minute. But that's
Yeah.
definitely something that was happening. Obviously, there were vaccine drives in certain neighborhoods, and the white people were coming out, to get them. I don't know if that was the case in y'all's homes, but in DC, that was a thing that was happening. So we see it in St. Joe too. The people from St. Thomas Parish, who happen to be white, were coming to St. Joe and trying to steal up all the jabs. Even those with Confederate flags on their vehicle.
Right. It was interesting because it's like, wow, I'm so glad everyone wants their vaccine, but like this is interesting. Where are the St. Thomas doses? Like, why don't they got none? Why are they here?
Because they don't have Nova to organize. Like,
Mm.
like they need to have that resource, that human resource, that human touch of somebody that cares about the community.
Yeah, I guess.
So I have a logistical
Who's
question.
White Nova?
Maybe you are.
Who's white?
Yeah,
I
who is
can't
White
Jabri.
Nova?
I'm unable.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
What's her name? Calvin daughter. Her.
Ooh,
Oh yeah. Well, she's back in college.
at
Probably.
Tulane.
So, all right, I have a logistical question, and this is probably going to make things more difficult, but that's what I do. So, by the point that they had to have their little meeting, their family meeting about the fact that there were all these white people that were effectively coming from St. Thomas to try to get the vaccines, they only had 50 doses left, but they had just given out 300. Now, are we to believe that first 300 all went to St. Joe's people? Like they didn't do any of the stuff that they were checking that they started doing for the last 50 for the first 300? They did all that stuff and ensured that it was only St. Joe's people that were getting the vaccine.
I don't think they did.
The question comes up about equity, right?
Mm-hmm.
I imagine there was a bunch of white people in line earlier on that they could have used and say, look, we've been giving vaccines to people.
Yeah.
It was first come, first serve. But at this point, we are running out of doses and we have to make sure that we are getting them to the people who actually signed up. We gave all the doses that we could in the order in which we did it. Because it seems like they instituted this new procedure, like check everybody's ID, make sure that they're from St. Joe's. Everybody else is short.
Right.
Like it seems like that only happened at the last 50 doses.
Right.
I think that's right. Yeah.
So when the police get there and they're talking about you got to make things look fair, it's like, sir, we probably have already vaccinated lots of white people because these people from St. Thomas have probably already been in line getting these doses and getting this stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Like this is gonna sound jacked, but I can't believe the white people are all the ones that have made it to the end of the line.
Right, they was on time.
I mean,
I didn't want to say it. I
mean, they weren't though. I mean, I think there was people from St. Thomas and St. Joe at the end of the line. The people from St. Joe had their appointments and had reserved their spot and everything, and the people from St. Thomas didn't. And so it got to a point where it's like, well, we need to adhere to the folks who have made reservations and those who live here. But I mean, I guess that just wasn't consistent with what they had been doing, that entire day. Because to that extent, I mean, I guess I get why people were angry, because it's like you sit and you wait in line all day to get a vaccine and you see everybody getting vaccinated. And then all of a sudden there's a cutoff, like, well, now we're looking at everybody's, reservation, which I understand. Don't get me wrong. Like they are well within their right to do that. But I mean, at the same time, it's like they could have been a little more stringent from the beginning too about wanting to make sure all the folks in St. Joe,
especially because they noticed up front
that it was too many people.
They had a huge amount of people, and they noticed there were a lot of people from St. Thomas there.
They should have counted.
They noticed that at the beginning.
Yeah. I'm sure they vaxxed a lot of St. Thomas people. Sorry, Janae, go ahead.
And I mean, no, I was going to say, and I think in trying to be equitable and trying to get as many people vaccinated as possible and not wanting to turn anybody away, that ended up kind of biting them in the butt, because, they ended up running out of doses for the folks that they were targeting this intervention to. And, but of course you got the Karens there who were like, we will not have it. I will be getting my vaccine today.
Right.
I think they also were banking on the fact that they might have been able to get additional vaccine.
Yeah, they were trying to troubleshoot and find, additional vaccine, but we know how, difficult that was, especially in the beginning.
And it didn't count on Ralph Angel walking around making it look like they were skipping white people.
Making it hot.
Or people forgetting their IDs and them all vouching for the fact that they were there. You know what I mean? Like, which makes sense, right? Like, this is a small community. Everybody knows who everybody is, presumably, right?
Yeah.
Even if you all don't know each other. Like nobody's in your house, but you should probably. I'm guessing most people in St. Joe's know who each other are. They know who lives there.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and if you ever like ran the door or worked at Popeyes and you want to hook up your
Yeah.
classmates or whatever, like you don't make it like it's a hookup. Like so they shouldn't have stood out there and been like, we vouched for her. No, they should. The way you vouch for
I
her
would've
is
just-
you say I saw her ID.
I saw her ID.
I saw
and
her
I don't
ID.
have to prove it, and I don't have to prove it to you. Who
Exactly.
Are you? Get back in your vehicle, ma'am.
That's how you
Thank
properly
you.
vouch. You don't
Yeah.
stand there and say I am vouching for this person or whatever, because then
Because that don't mean nothing to a Karen who about to call the manager.
right.
You need to follow the protocol as far as the Karen is concerned.
Right, that emboldens
I have
her.
another
Oh,
question.
you didn't follow the
Yeah.
rules? Oh,
Yeah.
that's
so you can bend the rules for her and not
Right.
for me.
right.
Reverse racism.
Right, that's Karen
Okay,
spinach.
I have another question. I found it odd, as did Micah, that Nova called the police for peacekeeping.
I was getting to that. Yeah.
That caught me off guard. I guess Nova knows the cops do not mess with her. They clearly
Yeah.
read the true papers. They read true papers. They read her article. But I was surprised that, now I'm not sure who else she would call. You have to have peacekeepers there, but it also seems like, I don't know, when they got there mad early in the morning and they saw that there was a huge amount of people and there was a huge amount of white people from St. Thomas, I feel like they could have seen some of this heat coming at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there could have been we need to make sure that things go smoothly
from the beginning.
Can we call some people just to make sure to peacekeepers of whatever it is, can we call some people in to make sure that things are whatever? Like, it seems like the things that went wrong with the last 50 doses could have been prevented at 8 a.m. when they got there. They could have seen all that stuff coming. So I was surprised that the police had to be called in the last minute to come. And they sent like 2 cops, it looked like. Right? It was like, they sent the sheriff and then the dude that threw Prosper down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was surprised by the police calling. Were y'all surprised by the police calling?
I was, especially because I was surprised initially when she did it, because I'm like, oh, I mean, I thought this was not your method. But then when the police got there, he's like, yeah, all your defund the police. So it's like, she very clearly has a defund the police platform, which I understand it, because I guess, and at the root, what she means is, the police is not who we need to be calling to keep the peace in this situation, but she has no one else to call. I don't know. It's like, who else would she call at this point in time? Aspirationally, what she wants to do, like, this should not be the police that we have to call. But
it is what we have. Yeah, that's the tricky part about having to still operate within a system that we already know is, dysfunctional and doesn't, necessarily serve us. So I mean, yeah, it's you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because you're right. Who do you call? And I mean, the expectation. I mean, I guess, I don't know. You expect people to show up and try to. You feel like right is right, wrong is wrong. We have this vaccine drive. It's for St. Joe's people. We have these rules. Help us enforce the rules. You would think that at baseline, the police would help you do that. But at the end of the day, when it comes to having to advocate for the Black people versus a Karen in distress, the Karen in distress is always going to get the benefit of the doubt in those situations, which we saw happen, regardless of what the facts or the rules were. But I definitely think Micah's confusion and outrage was I felt him on that, just for all of the reasons we mentioned, for all of the, just in the context of the environment that we're in general. Like, you would call the police, and with all these Black people, all these people down here, potentially put us in harm's way. That's, I don't know. It was a tough decision to make, a tough call.
Yeah. For me, I feel like she had to call the police at that point, because it could have gotten dangerous. It could have gotten violent. Like, she's seeing the Confederate flags. She's hearing that disrespectful tone that people get. When they're gonna disrespect your whole Black situation that you got going on. And it's unfortunate that, like, you know, this is the Deep South, and you know, you're dealing with cops that are like this. Not that they don't exist everywhere, but just like, you know, that this is what you expect to happen when you call the cops in this situation. Like, they're going to send these two guys. Like, they're going to send one. Like, this guy's going to put his hands on Prosper. Like, that's who comes down. Like, that's who comes when you call the cops. So, you know, I feel like that's unfortunate, and hopefully that's unusual. You know, you hope that that's not just the regular, you know, when you call the cops, that's who you get. But I feel like she needed something else. I feel like she needed some state involvement. Like, the city should have been helping her give out these vaccines.
You would think, right?
Right. There should have been somebody out at least directing traffic or helping her enforce the rules. When she's like, I need to see ID, there should have been a cop there also kind of making sure that IDs get checked. That's the ideal way to do it. And I understand why they didn't involve the cops if that's who they're going to end up sending.
Right.
It's like, what are your intentions for, like, it should be the intention to de-escalate a situation, and that's not what, you know, at least the cop that was dealing with Prosper, that's not what he was trying to do. Like, he came with the hot energy.
That can't be his training. That cannot be his training, to walk over immediately and put your hands on someone.
Yeah, that's not the way you're supposed to do that at all.
He's bad at his job.
Not at all.
Bad at his job.
You say that can be his training, but you also got to think people like that train people.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh man, I have so many thoughts that are happening at the same time. Because I mean, I think
he saw a white woman in distress. He went and jumped in and put his hands on a 80-some-year-old black man who was possibly going to do her harm
with his voice.
Right.
With his voice.
Yeah. I mean, and that just, you know, comes full circle to the whole defund the police conversation, because it's like, you know, do you need, in these situations, is the entity you need somebody that's going to come in and make the situation more volatile, or do you need people that are trained to actually deal with de-escalate situations? And it doesn't seem like cops are like, if that is your training, or if you did handle that by the book or whatever, like that can't just be the go-to method, you know, to operate within the communities that you serve. And defund doesn't necessarily mean eliminate either. That means also redirect funding from policing to those social services type things that can mitigate a lot of the, you know, issues that often require policing. So
can you put that in the email, Tom Vi? Can you type that up right quick?
Just about to bring that
send that over to her.
I was just about to say, Anvi is literally perfectly situated to be the one who don't mess with that defund the police.
She said as much. Yeah,
right.
She said as much.
But also, y'all got to consider, for some people, that is what defund the police means.
I know, yeah.
But for some people, defund the police is a means to abolition.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I had to look it up when the first hit. I had to like defund the police. That means don't. I mean, it. Look, this is the difficulty that I think a lot of people have. It's the out that I think we give a lot of people with language, right?
Mm-hmm.
Defund on its face sounds like remove funding from the police.
Funding from.
It literally sounds like that, which on its face sounds unreasonable and sounds like something that does not work. There's an optimal amount of police presence that you need in order for mayhem and bedlam not to occur. But it sounds like that's what you're saying, and people choose to not look into it and take it at face value for what that means. So I do like the fact that Aunt Vi was there to represent that opinion, because it's not just one shared by white people.
Sure.
It's shared by a lot of black people who are like, that sounds stupid. That doesn't make no sense. Like, why would you say that? If that's not what you mean, then don't say that. You know, and we get into these discussions with people where it's like, you're focusing on the wrong thing. You're too caught up in what you want it to mean versus what's being asked. But a lot of people get the opportunity to take that off ramp with wording. Even like the Black Lives Matter thing and all the people who refuse to really understand what that means, right? Like, it's not, for some people,
only
they need to
Black
see the
Lives
two
Matter.
on, they need to see TOO on the end of that in order for that to be something that they can rock with or understand.
Nah, they pretend that they do.
know it doesn't need to be there. So what?
Right.
They pretend that they need to see that. They pretend that you know, that we're saying only Black Lives Matter.
That's kind of my point, though. Like, people choose to use the off ramp that they get by not having things as clearly laid out as they want them.
Mm-hmm.
And the defund the police thing, I think, fits squarely in that camp. Like, I can't tell you how many discussions I've had with people who were like, yeah, it don't make no sense. What you mean defund? And you explain it like, well, that's not what it says.
Mm-hmm.
It says take all the money from the police. And that don't make any sense. You know what I mean? So, but I do want to ask, I need, this is a moment of heartfelt understanding from all of you. When you saw Prosper going down, what was the emotion that you had in that moment? Because I literally gasped. I stood up. I was so concerned. I was like it was like somebody in my family. I didn't realize how much I cared about Prosper, to be honest with you. But like I was so concerned. And they did it in slow-mo.
Yeah. I mean, it was the anxiety of what exactly was going to happen, because clearly you saw it escalating. Like the man, they're going back and forth, and so I realized at some point that this wasn't going to end well. It was just a matter of what was going to happen. And then when Prosper fell back and hit his head, it was a mix of like, oh, hell nah, versus, or not even versus, plus like just genuine concern. Like, I know they ain't killed my man Prosper. Like, it was just, yeah, that was, and it's like, not Prosper.
Yeah, like,
especially like
this can't be it.
Yeah, as cautious as he's been through this whole pandemic, to try to stay healthy, be helpful, so on and so forth, and for him to be the one to go out like that, I was like, I won't have it. I won't stand for it.
Also,
yeah, I
who
mean,
just goes around hitting old men like that?
Yeah, it's out of control.
Right. And Prosper shoved that cop. Like he kind of gave a little mush back, like at him.
Yeah,
like, get off me! Don't put your hands on me. Yeah, I was like, man, don't do that. Don't do that.
Because
like,
stressed me out
so
too.
So last season, you know how we saw Prosper like being like glued to the TV. And like, he was watching all the COVID coverage, all the protest coverage. He was just sitting there taking it all in. And I feel like that might have been part of what was going through him when he decided like to like just like completely like not have it for the cop putting his hands on him. Like, he was like, I'm fed up with this. And it's like, because he's been inundating himself with all the information. And I think that happens to us as Black people, like to different extents. Like, we get fed up with stuff like just from media coverage and just from sharing it with each other on Facebook and stuff. And like, he's on edge just seeing the cop come over to him. Now, granted, the cop did put his hands on him, like, completely unprovoked, completely unnecessary, completely wrong. But I just wonder about Prosper's reaction to it, being exactly what it was. But yeah, the cop had no business doing that. So what was my emotion? I was afraid. I was like, please don't hit your head. It was in slow motion. I was like, I hope somebody catches him. I probably shouldn't say this, but it seemed like the stuntman was like already unconscious as he fell. I don't know why the stuntman was like so limp as he went over. Like, he didn't even try to like catch himself or nothing. But anyway, that's a minor nitpick. But yeah, I was worried for my man. I was scared.
Yeah.
Oh, Prosper.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that pretty much that moment there, I mean, there was nothing else after that. That pretty much summed up the good, the bad, and the Rona for me. I hope that my man prospers. All
right. Well, I guess that's gonna wrap up. Does that wrap us up, Shawnice?
That wraps up the good, the bad, and the Rona here on Bourbon and Borderlands.
All right, we'll be right back with our advictions on Bourbon and Borderlands.
All right.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Bourbon and Borderlands on the Blacktastic Podcast Network. We are back now with our advictions. As a reminder, that is our advice and our predictions for all of our favorite folks in St. Joe's for the next episode. So before I just get into our individual evictions, I just want to pose a question to the group. Does Prosper make it? Yay or nay? Panama, what you think?
He better.
I say yay.
Shawnice?
He has to make it. He just got to make it.
Jabri?
He has to. I can't vote against my man. He gonna make it.
Yeah. I won't allow it either. Prosper has to make it. Very good. Okay. I just wanted to just put that positive energy in the atmosphere. Prosper's pulling through.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. All right, Panama, you want to kick us off with some more in-depth evictions?
I would love to. All right. So, I think I'm going to start off with my advice. Well, I guess that's the first part of eviction.
Is
So,
that?
I'm going to give some advice to my man, Micah, who is off smashing this professor. Delete your texts, your emails, whatever it is.
No
It's going to
paper trail,
incriminate you
honey.
at some point down the line, because I'm telling you, if it's you or her job, she's picking a job every time, bro. And these things never go well. Watch TV. There's lots of shows. Read the news. It never goes well for people in these situations, unless you plan on getting married, and I think it's okay, but I don't really know. But anyway, Micah, just it seems like you have other options. Why are you going with this one? I don't know. But anyway, that's my advice. Chill the hell out, Micah.
That's the angle.
Huh?
Yeah, this is wrong because he got better options. That's why it's wrong.
No. It's wrong because it's wrong. But we're already here, so I mean, I can't tell him not to do it. He's already
from
doing
Micah's
it.
perspective, if you're about to do it,
if you're doing this,
get rid
you
of
gotta
the
be
paper
smart
trail.
about, like, you need right. Be smart about this, bro. Like, it's not gonna work for you, so you should probably let it go. But we already here. He's already making bad choices.
No, that is good advice. It's just that last part is all. Okay, I got you.
Okay.
I'm not perfect. I'm an imperfect human being. All right. My prediction.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and my prediction is gonna be that I predict that Aunt Vi. I'm curious about who she's helping out. I don't want to predict that it's Jimmy Dale, because that would be very bad.
That'd be wild.
But I predict that Aunt Vi is in some way, shape, or form doing some kind of service to the community. She's helping people that need some helping. But I can't figure out why she can't tell Hollywood this. So I want to give her the benefit of the doubt here, but I just can't. I'm trying to predict that this is gonna go well for Aunt Vi somehow. Like for all of Aunt Vi's shenanigans, I still want to believe that she's doing something good. But I
mean, Aunt Vi typically is doing good for the community. It's just her family that she be being ridiculous with.
But so I'm lumping in whatever the secret is, hopefully in with some type of community service. I just can't understand why she won't be telling people. So I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. So my prediction is that this is not gonna blow up in her face in a negative way. It's just gonna expose some other secrets that are existing. But it's gonna add more layers to a story that we already got going on. That's my prediction.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And with Vi too, she she does always help people, but she's always helping people at her own expense. Her own personal expense. That's a habit that she has.
There's something that's going on here that's compelling her to do whatever it is that she's doing. So I predict that it's gonna be something that it's not gonna be the most negative. It's not like she's cheating. You know what I mean? Like she ain't giving food to her boo. But it's just
so
whatever the reason is, we'll come to you.
We don't think Aunt Vi got like a man on the side or nothing like that.
No. Nah. She love Hollywood.
Yeah.
She actually loves Hollywood.
I don't know. They was beefing last season. I don't know.
I know, but she let Hollywood sit on the bed with his outside clothes on and didn't say nothing.
That's true too.
That's love. Anyway.
Okay. All right. Very good. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, go.
Go ahead, Jabri.
All right. So my advice is for Ralph Angel. Tell your family about these financial problems before they get worse. Like those penalties, those fees, those fines, they add up. You got Charlie, got some change. Hollywood got his settlement. I don't know how much he got left with Vi giving out food every day, but he got his settlement. I mean, probably Nova can at least help you with the crib. Darla's folks, it's people with some money laying around, who can help you out to an extent if it comes to that. Don't get foreclosed on for pride. That's my advice for Ralph Angel. My prediction, and this might be some residual Nova hate, but I definitely feel like her source is going to regret working with her. Like the way she drilled down on that, and I'll defend your anonymity to my last breath, or something like that she said. Like I would die before I would tell. Somebody's gonna find out.
left.
Someone's gonna. She was too sincere about that. She was too certain.
Her track record is not great.
Her track record is not great.
Not great.
Exactly. So I think that dude's gonna regret it. Those are my evictions.
Okay. Shanice, you ready, or you want me to go?
So my advice was along the lines of Jabriz. Like, Ralph Angel, what are you doing? I said this before. You're being dumb. This is not just your farm. It's not just on you. You don't have to pretend that you're like, we all know that, the farm is not, you haven't been harvesting anything. Like, we can see it. So I don't think anybody would be expecting you to come up with magical money when you haven't had a harvest, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would think that you would be able to ask your family, who also has stake in this land, like we said before, so that you don't have to take out payday loans. And like, that's crazy. How many payday loans you have to take out before they need a background check? Like, how many?
Four.
Four. Yeah. What are they using to give him money? Like, what are they basing the loan they're giving him on? Like, is he showing up with like an old stub? Because don't payday loans, don't you have to like show up with like your check stub and they'll give you that, because you pay them back your check plus interest? Like, isn't that what a payday loan is?
I don't know.
I've never taken one.
I've never had one. Amen. It's a privilege a point of privilege, but I wouldn't know.
Yeah, but you gotta stop. You gotta ask for some help. You can't do that. And then my prediction. I don't know. I hate to think that Ralph Angel's about to start doing some shady business practices, like, dealing drugs or some other things. But I don't know. I kind of see it on the horizon, because I don't think that he's going to tell anyone. I feel like he's dug himself into a hole, and he's going to feel like he has to get himself out of it. And so I feel like he's going to try to get himself out of it the best way that he knows how, which is probably the way that landed him in jail, initially. I hope not, but I see it, and I hope not.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree. That was definitely, I actually kind of had two predictions, but that was one of them. I predicted that Ralph Angel is probably about to be doing something strange for a piece of change. I really hate to see it, but I really don't think. But at least, I mean, maybe at some point he'll, the bottom will fall out completely and he'll have to go and, reach out to the family. But I think he's really about to try to handle this by himself as long as he can. And I just don't think that's the right thing to do. And so my advice was along those lines as well. Like, as everyone has said, Ralph Angel asked for help. I also had advice for Micah, not to minimize the paper trail, because I don't want to endorse this behavior, but essentially stop. Do not do this. This is a terrible, terrible, awful, horrible, no good road to go down. But to that extent, my other prediction was, I think that, clearly at some point somebody's going to find out. And I feel like some way it's going to be Nova. And I feel like Nova, because she and Micah seem to have a pretty good, transparent relationship. And I think that the history that Nova had with her professor, there has to be a way for her, I think, to, try to tell Micah, like, listen, I know where this goes. This isn't the right thing to do. I don't know. Maybe I see some sort of standoff between Nova and the professor at some point, in defense of Micah. I don't know. Maybe if they're like in the same intellectual hotepery circles, to the extent that, the professor's in New Orleans as well. But I definitely think Nova's going to be one of the first people to find out that this is happening with Micah. She's going to try to talk him out of it. Micah may or may not be receptive, but, we'll see how that goes. But that's definitely one of my predictions for the season. So there's that. So I think that wraps up the evictions, which carries us now into our shots of bourbon. So every week we give a shot of bourbon to who we thought had the best episode. Does anybody have any burning shots of bourbon? Go ahead, Shanice.
I'm gonna give my shot of bourbon. Oh wait, no. I'm gonna give my shot. I was gonna give it to Micah, because I feel like personally he had a
good week.
But I'm gonna take that back and give it to Charlie because
she also had a good week.
Had a good week, and I am here for doing whatever it is that makes you happy at the moment, and at this very moment, this is what is making her happy. So, sis, get it how you live. Do you enjoy yourself? Cheers.
I'm gonna go ahead and agree with Shanice. I'm gonna give mine to Charlie for all of the reasons that she mentioned. I know last season we gave a few shots to Davis, and I guess by that logic, I could also give a shot to him. But I think what took me over the top with Charlie is the fact that she's also exploring this political career, and she seems to be getting, noticed by the party for opportunities for potential leadership. So I'm really interested to see where that goes for her. So yes, I'm also giving my shot to Charlie.
I considered giving my shot to Charlie, but I don't know how that meeting with the bigwigs went. So I had to reserve. I gotta learn what the results of that bigwigs meeting was. Because when you meet with bigwigs, it can go wrong. It can go wrong.
That's true.
So my shot is for Micah. I mean, so he's back good with Charlie. They're communicating well. They've had their ups and downs. Charlie and Davis are getting back together. He don't know that, but it's good for him.
Know that, though.
But it's good for him, though. It's good for him. It's good for him. He didn't need the parent trap. Like, COVID took care of that parent trap for him. He's gonna be hanging pics up at the real spot. Everything's coming up roses. He got the relationship with the professor, which I know is probably not gonna go well in the future, but for right now, it's sweet. So things are sweet right now. So for this week, which is all this is a snapshot in time, a moment in time, and at this moment, Micah gets my shot.
Okay.
Okay. I wanted to give Micah my shot, but here's the problem. Hollywood got off a Shamar Moore joke that made me laugh so hard.
Oh, he did.
That I can't in good faith give Micah the shot because that one Shamar joke took everything off the table. So I'm going to have to go ahead and give my shot to Davis, who literally has had the greatest come up of all time of anybody.
Did.
Just because my man literally is back like he never left.
Yeah.
And he's exactly where he wants to be. So I'm going to give my shot to Davis.
All right. Well,
but that leaves it with Charlie, though, right?
I was gonna say with a tally of 2-1, it looks like Charlie gets our shot of bourbon this week. So right, cheers, clink clink, yay! We need to start releasing video. I want you all to experience this with us.
And that's gonna bring us to the end of this first episode of season 6. Well, of Bourbon and Borderlones covering season 6, episode 1. A lot happened, a lot of kind of catching up. There's a lot on the table, a lot can go wrong, a lot will go wrong, obviously. And let's hope Prosper is doing all right in getting the best care St. Joe's has to offer, or wherever they ended up taking him.